Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Herbally-Inspired Spring Kitchen Challenge. Today is March 15th, and I am so excited to be getting started here with this week-long event that I have decided to do, the Herbally-Inspired Spring Kitchen Challenge. So my name is Allison, and I'm from the Well Cultivated Life, and I am wanted to just welcome you here and say good for you for showing up to this event where we're going to be learning an awful lot about how to bring different kinds of herbs and kitchen spices, and even some of the wild plants that grow outside into your kitchen and start using them in your daily routine so that you can help to support your health and wellness and keep yourself healthy so that you don't run into any kinds of major problems, so that you have these skills and you know what to do if you do start to feel sick. So there's so much I could be sharing with you this week that I'm going to be just focusing in on a few little things that hopefully will help you get started if you're a beginner in this area. So before I start, though, I wanted to welcome you all and say to please put your name into the chat and tell me where you are watching from. If you're watching from the Facebook group, I'm using a program called StreamYard. And in order for me to see your name, you have to give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. So if you're in the Facebook group and you'd like me to be able to address your comments personally, if you are putting things into the chat, then just go to this place, streamyard.com/Facebook. It's on the post, and just give them permission for me to see your name. Otherwise, I'll just see Facebook user, and that's just not as friendly. So I would love for you to give them permission. If you're on YouTube, then you're fine. I can see who you are. In fact, I can see that Angela is here. Hello, Angela, and thank you for joining today. So before we really get into this, though, I want to let you know, some of you may have signed up for the challenge officially through the website, and I want to make sure that you saw that there is a VIP session that's going to be happening today, tomorrow, and Friday after the challenge, the main session. And the VIP session is a live Zoom call where you can come on, and what we're going to do is we're going to work through the things I'm talking about. We're going to work through that with you and start really creating your own herbal plan for wellness. Okay. So if you have not signed up for the VIP, you can go to this link here, herbalkitchenchallenge.com. Just sign up through the regular sign up form, and then it takes you to the VIP page. It's only $17 for the VIP, and you get 3 sessions, and it's usually a pretty small group, so you will definitely get your one-on-one time and get the help. If you know you are going to want the momentum moving forward, then just make sure you do that, and it starts today. So I wanted to just mention that at the very beginning of the session here. If you're on YouTube, the link for that is already in the comments down below, and you can just click there and go straight there. So again, thank you everyone for joining me here for the Herbally-Inspired Spring Kitchen Challenge. Now you probably, or you may have been in some of my previous challenges, and when you work with plants, you got to do things throughout the seasons. So this is my first challenge of 2023 because where I live, it's covered in snow and there hasn't been much going on in the plant world. In fact, we got 12 inches of snow yesterday in that giant storm. So I would have loved to bring in some plants to show you, but they're all buried. That to say that many of the plants that you can use for your health can be found in the produce section of your grocery store. So I'll be sharing some of those with you throughout the week. Now, there is so much I could share with you that I decided that what we're going to do is, because it's the kitchen challenge that I really want to focus on one of the most important things about the kitchen, and that is digesting your food. So we'll be talking about herbs that help with digestion. And we'll also be talking about herbs and plants that are spring harvested plants that might be growing out in your very own yard that you can harvest. And then third, we'll be talking about also, again, because it's the Spring Kitchen Challenge, some other plants that are food, but they're also healing, have healing properties that you may not realize, and including those as well. So those are sort of the three themes that we'll be working on this week over the next today and the next 3 days after that. So we have sessions today, tomorrow, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Saturday is going to be at 2 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time. So I hope you're going to be able to make it to all of those. Now, so let's officially get started with our presentation today. And so welcome to the Herbally-Inspired Spring Kitchen Challenge. And this is day one. My name is Allison McGill, and I am an herbalist and a educator or wellness coach. I'm a flower essence practitioner, and I also have a ecologist background as well. And so I really love all the things about not just working with plants, for my health, but also the living plants, growing the plants, harvesting the plants, and all of these aspects of working with healing plants. Now, this picture I chose from my, stock photos because some of you may recognize the that a few of these plants, most of these plants on here are early spring herbs, and they're weeds mostly that grow out in your garden. There's creeping Charlie, chickweed, and of course the beautiful violets. And all of these can be harvested to help us with our health. So the question that I have for you to get us started here is, why are you here? So I would love for you to put into the chat, what is the reason why you've decided to join this challenge? Now, I have a lot of reasons why I think you might be here. There are, maybe it's because you saw and you just love spring and you're just dying for anything green like I am. But perhaps you live in a place where maybe you have a little bit more spring green than we do around here. So one person is saying, learn, learn, learn. I love it. I love it. So a lot of the reasons why we come to something like this is maybe you want to just in general have your life be healthier. You want to know how you can bring more things into the kitchen and make everything you eat healthier. Maybe you just love plants and you saw the thing about, harvesting spring plants, and you just want to know how you can get out into your yard and harvest, do some wild foraging. Maybe you're just sick and tired of spending too much money on supplements and health foods and all of these things and not really feeling that much better. And so now you're like, well, why should I be spending all this and I'm not feeling better? Why don't I just see if I can use some plants instead? Maybe you're needing some relief from a chronic condition. So many of us are just kind of on this marginal level of health, suffering with sort of chronic pain or these different types of conditions that keep us from really feeling like we're thriving or we're vital. And maybe you saw the word kitchen and you're like, I love to cook. How can I use more herbs and spices in my life? Or not in my life, in my cooking? Well, in my life too. Why not? And so you're eager to find out how you can incorporate more things into what you're cooking. And, maybe a lot of you are just feeling kind of let down by the healthcare system. You're looking for alternatives. You're just kind of like, I'm trying to get care. I just don't feel good. Why don't you have anything to help me? So And then maybe you're like me, where you like to create things. You're a creator, crafter, and chemist, and you love getting in the kitchen. You want to know, ooh, how can I work with these different plants, and how can I make my own concoctions that can not only have fun doing it, but also can be beneficial for me as well. So let's see what we have here. So Donna says, I want to know what flowers and weeds I can use and learn more about different plants. One person is saying that they have diverticulitis, which is one of these conditions that seems it takes you out. Other people are saying that they just want to be able to live more healthily. So thank you everybody for sharing those, and thank you for being here today. Now, what I want to ask of you is that you are finding this place of where you're starting. So not only why are you here because of these conditions, but like what are you hoping to gain from this week? And I want you to sort of set an intention for showing up here, for coming for all 4 days, even if you have to watch the replay, so that you can work your way through to something that's going to help you. Because if you're not here, I can't give you the information and I can't help you to get to a solution, because you're obviously here because you want something to change. Change is not easy. Change is sometimes not fun, but I'm here to help you to try to learn more and make your wellness level better. So, if you've been in any of my other previous challenges or retreats that I've done, you know that I always like to use different types of flower cards to help just give us a message for what we should be thinking about, sort of like an important message. And so this week for the sessions, I decided to use this new deck of cards that I just got, called the Flowers Oracle, from this woman, Antonella Castelli. And it's actually a flower essence deck. And so the cards that came out for this week are not necessarily something you're going to go harvest from your garden, but I always trust the messages that we get for these events. And so I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and share these with you this week. So when we start into something like this, as I was saying, you need to show up. Is that we can start out, our word for today really is enthusiasm. So our plant is vervain, and vervain is a nervine. It's a type of plant that it works on the nervous system, and it's used for stress a lot of time, and especially for people who are kind of like chronic overdoers, and they get over enthusiastic. And so what is important for this week, starting today, is that you are going to come in here so enthusiastic and, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this happen. But make sure that you kind of balance that, and that you don't use up all your enthusiasm, and you don't let yourself, or that you keep your enthusiasm going through the week, so that you can get all of the information that you need. And I am very enthusiastic about plants and about what they can do for you. And so I also want to maintain my enthusiasm through the week as well. Now, one of the things that vervain says is that a good idea will sell itself because it's a good idea. So in other words, interpreting this for you working with plants, the plants that you need will feel good for you. So you won't have to force it. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I got to go out and get every single plant Allison says. No, you don't. What's going to happen is that you're going to you'll know which plants are good for you. We already know like what foods our body likes, right? We know what we can and can't eat. And so we can also take that approach for today and for this week, knowing that what we're learning is going to be knowledge that we can apply and that we can keep going with, and will be coming in very handy for us as we go along. So let's see here. Where's my other slide? Oh, there it is. So there are many, many ways that plants can help us. And like I said, we're going to be focusing on the digestive system and on what's growing wild right now. But as we go through the year, not just through this challenge, but through this year, we'll be wanting to learn more about plants so that we know what's in season and we can harvest things as they become available. So we can work with plants. We can make extracts. We can cook with them and just have them in our kitchen. We can use, aromatherapy. We can use them medicinally, and we can grow plants ourselves. A lot of people just love to grow plants and they've got a green thumb. And even I put this picture of this little wildflower bouquet here. Even just having flowers and plants around is a good healing experience. It's just nice to have these living beings in our space with us, so that they're just reminding us that, of the pace that we need to live at. So that is, I hope that you're thinking about like how you want to work through this week. Now, who is this challenge really for? Okay, so this challenge is really for people that have gotten to the point where they've realized, you know what, I want to feel better. I am kind of tired of just living my life feeling somewhat mediocre. I don't have as much energy as I used to. I don't really feel as enthusiastic, there's our word again, for life as I used to. And so you're really looking for a way to maintain and boost your health without having to do a whole lot. So what we'll be talking about this week is how you can just incorporate a lot of these plants into your kitchen, into what you're already doing. I'm assuming you're eating every day. And so this is a way that you can bring a few things into your routine. And we'll talk about how that's going to be. Just because you're getting older does not mean that you have to start feeling bad. Okay. But this is what happens to a lot of us. And we've probably even had doctors tell us, oh, well, you're just getting older. Oh, well, live with it. And I'm here to tell you that that doesn't have to be that way. So this challenge really isn't for someone who doesn't value their health, because, if you're going to say, well, that's great and everything, but I don't really want to do any of those things. No change equals no change. So if you're really looking for some kind of change in your life to feel better, but you don't want to make any changes in your life to feel better, then this probably isn't a very good challenge for you. Because if you've been on any of my programs before, you know that I'm kind of serious about your health, because it is a serious matter. If you don't feel good, if your health is poor, your entire quality of life, it affects everything that you do. It affects your desire for living, or not in that sense, but in getting out and living your life. And so this is just a really important thing to support. And it's also not for you if you're just going to continue to argue for your own limitations. Like, oh, well, I'm just this, so I can't do that, and so on. So I'm going to encourage you that, yes, you can. You can. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some thought. It's going to take some work. But it's going to be delicious and fun. And creating a relationship with plants is incredibly meaningful. And that in and of itself, getting yourself outside just to hunt for a dandelion, is something that can be renewing in and of itself. So I hope you're all here in the right place. And I hope that you'll stick with me for the entire week. All right, that's enough of my pep talk there about this week's challenge. Now, I want to share a little bit of my story. And when I was in my 40s, I met my husband relatively late in life. And so I had my kids pretty late, 42. My second son was born. He's about to turn 18. So you can guess that I am 60. And that was kind of hard on my body to start having kids so late in life. And so what happened was I started to have what I call like the full system meltdown. My thyroid started to melt down. I was going into menopause. I had small children around the house. And eventually I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. And all of these things, the pressure, putting pressure on me, I really didn't, I felt terrible all of the time. And when you feel terrible, you don't handle stress well. So it's taken a number of years for me, starting in real seriously in 2015, to finally feel like I am at a level of vibrant health again. Now, I want you to know that I didn't do it just with plants. It's my number one modality because I love plants so much, but that a true level of vibrant health also requires your mental, emotional, physical, all of those things together to be truly healthful. Without those, it doesn't, I don't care how many, cups of tea you drink, it's not going to solve the problem. Now, we're not going to talk about those aspects of health in this particular challenge. I will be doing another challenge in May, which is much more about sort of the emotional health pieces. But what we are going to talk about is how working with plants can help your mental and emotional health. I firmly believe that, and I know that it would be wonderful for you as well. Now, why was it that even though I took good care of myself, I ate well, I was an herbalist, that my body was kind of melting down on me? Like, what was I going to do? Like I said, I had to get really serious about changing things in my life. And now I eventually started taking thyroid medication. I no longer take that. I decided that I didn't want to do it. And I decided to take responsibility for my own health. And I did it, like I said, with the help of what I like to call my herbal allies. This is really the way I look at plants. And so you're probably thinking, Allison, what are you talking about? I thought we were going to be doing stuff in the kitchen. So just bear with me. We're going to get to some kitchen stuff here just in a minute. But the reason why I'm telling you all this is that you just want to kind of set the stage for what we're doing today. I want to talk about the difference, because I get these questions a lot. Well, what's the big difference between taking a medication of some sort, a pill, versus using a plant? And it really comes down to this. Plants are alive, and they have their own healing intelligence. We have spent millennia co-evolving with different plants, learning how to use them, our body adapting to what they have to offer, them adapting to what we need through thousands of years. Now, many of the regular medications that you can take, they are derived from plant constituents. Originally, that's where like 95 or 99% of our pharmacy comes from, our pharmacopoeia. But it's a big difference between what is a lab-derived chemical versus something that comes from a living plant. It's sort of like the difference between eating an apple or an Applejack cereal, right? you know, plants are alive and these other things are not. They do not have any sort of living vitality within them. And so this is why they work so differently than other types of medication. So now I'm talking about medication, and this brings me to the point where I need to give you my disclaimer. Obviously, I am not a medical doctor, and I don't claim to be one. And I'm not going to tell you to stop taking any prescriptions that you have, and I'm not going to tell you to stop going to your doctor or any of those things. My desire is to give you knowledge. Whoever it said that said learn, learn, learn. My desire is to give you the knowledge so that you can make an informed decision for yourself, so that you know what your body wants and you can make those decisions. Now, there are a lot of medications that interact with herbs. If you're taking prescriptions, you do really need to be aware and careful about what you choose to use in your herbal pharmacy. One of the big ones you've probably heard about is St. John's wort, and that can interact with a lot of, pharmaceuticals. So you need to be careful with what you decide to put into your daily routine, if you are on any kind of medication. And there's plenty of resources online that you can look up to do that. So I just want to make sure that you understand that, these what I'm telling you is my opinion, and it's also part of what I have learned over the years from working on myself, with my family, with my other clients that I have. And so I'm very cautious about people that are taking prescription medications. So, unfortunately, you can work with your doctor. Hopefully you have a doctor that's more of an integrated medicine person that is willing to look at different options. But a lot of times they just they have no background knowledge, and they wouldn't know what to tell you. And they're going to say, no, don't do that, because they don't know. How can they, which would be good, because they're coming from, if they don't know, they shouldn't be telling you one way or another. So now, of course, the reason why I have to do this disclaimer is because we don't know. We don't any longer know how to just connect with the plants growing around us, how to use just the seasonal herbs that are growing in the field. We don't understand, a lot of us, how our different body systems work and why certain conditions. I went with my, so today I'm going to introduce you to one awesome plant. And then, like I said earlier, in case you just jumped on, we'll be talking primarily about the digestive system. We'll be talking about the plants that are going to be out coming up. If you live south of me, which is highly likely, maybe out already that you can harvest. And then we'll also talk about other kitchen herbs. But I wanted to tell you this quick story. So my husband was sick with some kind of, respiratory thing. And we went to the doctor. And the doctor was asking him, oh, how is your acid reflux? Because he had some problems with that, which we've got a tea for that, but I won't, maybe I'll share that later in the week. And I was there with him, and I said there was a doctor, and then there was an intern, and I said, well, what causes acid reflux? And so the intern gave me her textbook answer. Well, it's from having too much acid in the stomach, and they may very well be. But I thought, well, what causes too much acid in the stomach? What causes that? And what are the other types of aspects of our digestive health? Like, we need to back up to the root cause. And a lot of times that's not what you get when you go to the doctor. And you know what? It's not their fault, because this is how they're told to treat people. Okay. This is their only option. And I also want you to know one other thing before we get into our plant of the day. And that is, it's not your fault either. You might be here thinking, oh my gosh, I'm taking, 7 prescriptions and I don't know what to do and I don't want to do it, but I don't know. I'm afraid to get off and this and that. It's not your fault because you didn't know. You made the best decision that you could based on what was happening for you in that moment and based on the advice that you got. But you can take ownership and take more responsibility for your for your health and for what you choose to put in your body. But you can't do it without knowledge. So stick with me this week and we'll get you as much information as we can. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and I will try to answer them. Again, if you are really going, wow, I want to work on this for myself and you want to join the VIP, the link is down in the comment section below this video and you can join. It starts right after this video today. So let's start with one question. And let me put this, well, it's 2 questions. What I'd love for you to do now, we've got some background here. You've been thinking a little bit about what you're doing and what you're taking, how it's going. And so I would love it if you would put into the chat, how would you rate your overall health? And you can do this on a scale of 1 to 5 if you want to. How would you rate your overall health? And then how would you rate your digestive health? Like, do you feel that overall you're pretty vital and vibrant and doing well? A 1 is like, not really. And then a 5 is yes. Well, I'm probably not going to have any 5s here because if you were a 5, you probably wouldn't feel the need to come on to some kind of a session like this. So from 1 to 5, 1 is not very good. 5 is fantastic. And then again, how well are you digesting your food? How are things going for you overall? Now, we're in the month of March, and that means that we've all been much less active, and our systems are a lot more sluggish than they were probably at the end of the summer when we were active and we were eating lots of fresh greens and so on. So your digestive health right now might not be as good as it is other times of year. So let's see here. Overall health is a 4 and digestive health is about a 3. So we have 2 people, both are saying yes. So that's decent. That's decent, right? But wouldn't it be nice to put a 5 in for both of those, right? Wouldn't that be nice if you could put a 5 in for both of those? And so today, like when you study herbalism, it's generally the way that we do this is that we learn about the body systems. So we'll learn about the digestive system and then the circulatory system and the nervous system and the lymphatic system and the respiratory system and so on, and the different systems of the body. And then which plants can we use to address certain conditions within that specific system. Many plants work with more than one system. So it can be confusing just to study a plant on its own because it often can have so many different uses that we just don't really know what to do, and that can be overwhelming. So that's one of the reasons why I chose the digestive system for this week as our focus, and we might get into talking about some other things if people have really specific questions. But most herbalists would say that the digestive health is the most important one to work on because if we don't have, it's our first line of nutrition. It's our first line of toxin elimination. And if we're not moving nutrients in and waste products out, the rest of our systems are not going to be able to do what they need to do. They won't have the nutrients they need. They won't be getting rid of the waste that they need to get rid of. And this is a key aspect of how our bodies need to function. Every cell produces waste and it needs to be able to eliminate it. So this is part of the reason why the digestive system is considered so important. Now, obviously, we need all of the systems in our body. If our heart stops beating, it doesn't really matter if your digestive system is working well, right? So we do need all the systems in our body to work at their peak. And so let me just share here. We'll talk more about a bunch more plants, but I'm trying to keep these sessions, 45 minutes or so. And so today we're going to talk about the digestive system a little bit and some of the actions that are used or some of the actions that herbs have to help in the digestive system. And I've just listed the 4 main ones here. And so the first, within our digestive system, our food comes in, digestive enzymes are released, it gets chewed up, it gets churned up in the stomach. And then once it's ready to leave the stomach, then the body starts to pull out different nutrients and assimilate those into the bloodstream. Then in the large intestine, we're putting all of our waste products in there, or the leftovers when all the goodies have been taken out, whatever's left over, and that is eliminated. So if we're not making enough enzymes and we're not in this very first part of the digestive system, we're not breaking our food down enough, then our nutrients aren't going to be removed. So the first action that a lot of people, and I have an online community called Cultivated Life Community. And this month we talked about bitters being any bitter flavored herb that stimulates the digestive system. And different bitters also have other properties with them as well. But a bitter herb its main action is that it stimulates the digestive juices to flow, including the bile and a lot of the pancreatic enzymes, so that your food is broken down better. All right. Then the next action we have, and herbalists love to use these fancy words for their herbal actions. I guess it makes them feel important or whatever, but they are descriptive to the point where it makes it really easy to understand what the action is. It tells you a lot about the plant. So a carminative is a type of a plant that helps us reduce gas and the bloating that comes along with that as well. And a classic herb for this is fennel. And if you've ever gone to an Indian restaurant, they have those little like candied fennel seeds as you leave. And so those little fennel seeds, chew those up, and that helps you just with your digestive actions. It helps to reduce gas and help everything digest better. The third type of digestive action is called a demulcent, and this is a plant that is very can be almost thick. Marshmallow is a classic example, and what it does is it helps to soothe our mucous membranes. And of course, the digestive system is one long mucus-filled tube. That's basically the entire thing. And so when you have a lot of irritations, a demulcent is a great type of an herb to use. Slippery elm is another one. Slippery elm is highly endangered from overharvesting, so I usually just use marshmallow instead. And then the fourth type is relaxant. It's a type of maybe a nervine. We have a lot of nerve endings in our digestive system. Sometimes it's called like the third brain. And those nerve endings, if you get nervous, a lot of times you get, butterflies in your stomach and that sort of thing. So you can have relaxant herbs such as chamomile, or lemon balm that are very calming and can help sort of settle your stomach and settle the nerves into the stomach. So these are some of the types of actions of the herbs that we can use when we are having digestive problems. So you can probably tell from this picture what our plant of the day is going to be. Put in the chat if you know what I'm going to be talking about next. One of my favorite digestive plants, a plant we can harvest this time of year, and a plant that is so very good for this time of year because it has a lot of bitters properties. Oh, yep, dandelion it is. I have learned that you never assume that everybody knows what a dandelion is. So dandelions, we love them so much. They are a digestive bitter. And that means that specifically dandelion helps with stimulating bile, and it helps with sort of helping the liver cleanse itself. The liver processes so much of our garbage, and it's a very busy organ and has a lot of jobs to do. Not only does it make different types of compounds for the body, it also removes a lot of the toxic waste products from the body as well. So by helping the liver cleanse itself, then it makes it easier. When you're clean, it's easier to do your job. It also helps to stimulate the bile. Now, bile is made by the liver, and it specifically helps with digesting fats. Not so much digesting fats, but it's a I forget the word for it. What it does is it breaks up the fat into much, much smaller pieces. Think about it's very much like soap, actually. And when you try to wash your pans with a without soap, you can't get the grease off, but when you put the soap on there, it helps to break all the grease down into teeny tiny little globules so that it can be more easily digested. It stimulates overall metabolism, and it's also a diuretic. And a diuretic is coffee is also a diuretic. It's also a bitter if you don't put sugar and cream in it. And it a diuretic helps to sort of flush out the kidney. So it's another way to help remove waste products as well. So the beautiful thing about dandelion is that it is growing all around all of us. Here in North America, it was brought over from Europe, and because it was thought to be such an important plant that a lot of people think of it as a weed and, annoying weed now, but it was such an important plant for health that Europeans that colonized here brought this, and of course it's escaped into everybody's lawn now. And so it is a plant that you can harvest and dig early in the spring. And like I said at the beginning of the show, my lawn is covered in snow, so I don't have any dandelion. But the beautiful thing about dandelion is that you can actually buy it in the grocery store. I'm seeing a question from Angela. She says, so would it dandelion help a body that had their gallbladder removed? So the gallbladder, like I was saying, the gallbladder doesn't actually make bile. It holds on to bile. The liver has so much work to do that it doesn't have time to make bile on demand when you did, because it doesn't know when you're going to decide to eat something. It doesn't know how much fat is going to be coming in the meal that you're about to eat. And so it makes the bile in advance, and it stores it in the gallbladder, and then it's there and available so the liver can do whatever it needs to do. The bile's available, and it just gets released into the stomach or in the top of the small intestine when that type of food comes in and when it's needed. So if you have had your gallbladder removed, it just means that you can't eat a lot of fat in one sitting because you don't have a reserve of bile. Now, you might have found that it's working for you and your liver is creating enough of this, enough bile to break down the fats without having your gallbladder. So it really depends on the individual person. But if dandelion is helping the liver to do its job and stay cleansed more, of course, it's going to be helpful for you. Gallbladder or not, it can help to keep the liver functioning better overall. So, yeah. So I went to my grocery store and guess what? Look at this gorgeous head of, this is only half of it that I brought down here, of dandelion greens that I could just buy. It's in the same aisle as the kale. And so dandelion it's actually related. It's all in the composite family, which means it has, these sort of sunflower type of heads on them. Daisies, it's related to daisies too. So we can look at these dandelion leaves and see that dandelion, the word means tooth of the lion. And the lion part is probably from the bright yellow. But tooth, meaning these tooths on the side of the leaf. So that's the actual dandelion there. And so you can just take this. I might strip, these are kind of big and not that tender. So I might strip this and chop it up. And you can just saute it up like any other type of green and get your dandelion fix that way. You could replace kale. We overuse kale in everything. You could replace kale with some of your kale with dandelion if you're a kale eater, or if you're putting kale in smoothies, or you're using any other types of greens like that. And you could add some dandelion in place of some of that. Now, it is more bitter than, let's try some. It's definitely more bitter than kale. Bitters is a hard flavor for us to eat in this modern age. We're not used to it. We think it's bad. And if you are part of the Cultivated Life community, I suggest you go and watch the bitters program that we did at the beginning of March, where I talk about, well, why does bitter flavor stimulate digestion? And we'll probably get into that more this week. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now because we're getting towards the end of our program for tonight. But I want to tell you two more things about dandelion. Now, so that's the leaf, and the flowers can also be eaten. And it's one of these herbs that's so beautiful because the entire plant can be eaten. Now, I probably wouldn't eat the seeds, but the seeds, the wish flowers, like who doesn't love to make a wish with a dandelion, right? So even if some of your dandelions go to flower, it's okay. Now, the root is considered to be the most potent part of the plant. And so you can go out and you can dig up a dandelion and chop it up and save it and make a tea out of it. But you can also just get, it's kind of reflective here, but you can also just buy a roasted dandelion root tea. And this is a really nice brand, traditional. It just happens to be in my grocery store. Okay. So again, I'm not having to go to some fancy place. I'm sure you can get it in a health food store as well, but it's related to chicory, which, as you may know, is a coffee substitute. And some people will use roasted dandelion root for a coffee substitute, but I think it actually has a relatively mild flavor. A lot of herbal roots are really nasty. Okay. They don't taste good. They taste like dirt and bitter, and they're not good. But this, when they roast it, for some reason, that just changes the flavor. And I mix it with, I'll mix it with green tea, or sometimes I'll just mix it with another more flavorful tea. And I find it easy just to use it out of this little tea bags right here. So that's another way you can just get the dandelion root benefit. And then another way, like, so this month I was feeling the need, and we'll talk a little bit more later this week about doing like a spring cleanse, using the spring greens cleanse, and why we want to do that this time of year. And another thing you can do is you can use an apple cider vinegar, and you can just make a vinegar extract with dandelion. So I was doing a bit of a cleanse last week, and it called for apple cider vinegar, water, and lemon, in the mornings. And I went into my closet and I found this that I had made last summer, which has dandelion, the whole plant of dandelion. It's got some ginger, calendula, and borage that I had thrown in there because I had borage in flour at the time, all in apple cider vinegar. So doing a vinegar extract is a great way to preserve the fresh plants that you're harvesting in the spring, and get a lot of the properties. Dandelion has a lot of great minerals in it, as well as these other sort of medicinal properties. So it has potassium and some other, nutrients. And apple cider vinegar is very good at pulling out those types of mineral nutrients. So dandelion, if you just start using one herb from this week, if you decide to drop out after day one, you've learned about dandelion, one of the best things that you can start pulling into your kitchen to improve your wellness, just some dandelion. And again, like I said, you can just go to the grocery store. Now, there is one other thing I wanted to, let me see here. I'm having a hard time chewing up the last of this dandelion. So I'm going to be giving away some prizes at the end of the week. And in order to win a prize, I'm going to ask you to do some what I call food for thought each day at the end of the day. And you can post your reply to this either on YouTube in the comments down below, not in the live stream comments. They don't show up for a while, but in the comments below the video. Or you can put them in Facebook. Or if you happen to have already joined in the Cultivated Life community, there is a space in there where we will be talking and asking questions throughout this week as well. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Where is it? This is the link for that. It's a free community. You do have to make an account to come in there, and you answer a question because I like my questions. But that's another place where we'll be sharing ideas in the community. I probably should just give you one choice of where to go, but I like all these places. I am going to say that eventually I hope to not be on Facebook much anymore. I'm not real happy with the way their privacy policies are going. It just seems to be getting worse and worse. But anyway, for now, we have the Facebook group. And here's your food for thought. I want you to this is what we talked about today. What are the reasons why improved health and vitality are so important to you? And what are you already doing? And, how is this helping you? Okay. So I want you to kind of take an inventory here. What am I already doing that's supporting my health with herbs or not? Whatever you're doing that's supporting your health. Is it a kitchen-based practice? Are you finding ways just to incorporate some more healthy things into your daily meals? And post that either in the Cultivated Life community or in the Facebook group or below the stream. I'm going to be checking a lot of places for all of these. So let's see. Some people someone says they just picked up some dandelion yesterday. That's awesome. And that they're using organic dandelions to put in their salads, and it has helped their digestion so much. That is awesome. Was taking a medication for GERD for 1.5 years and quit taking a month ago. I think I know who this is. Yay. Doing keto and intermittent fasting for 1.5 years is really helping. Thank you for this great information. Oh, you're so welcome. It's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So again, if that's all you get out of this week is to befriend the dandelions in your lawn, don't put that poison stuff on there. If you don't want the dandelions, just go harvest them. But that's all I'm going to share with you today. I'm so excited to keep going. We have 3 more days together. Tomorrow I'll be back at 5 o'clock. And again, if you are like, oh boy, I really want to know more about how to incorporate this more in my life, we'll be starting the VIP in just a few minutes, you can go to herbalkitchenchallenge.com and join the VIP. You register for the regular challenge, and then it takes you to the VIP page. And we'll be joining on Zoom. We'll be talking about what is your plan moving forward and answering your specific questions. And really, this food for thought I just gave you, that's what we'll be working on. So you're going to actually do it. But if you're not in the VIP, make sure that you are, whether you post it or not, make sure you're really thinking about this and making an inventory of what you're already doing and congratulate yourself for whatever that is. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. And I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. And have a great evening. Take care. If you're in the VIP, well, I'll be starting up the session in just a few minutes. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.